lesson number 1, how to care for your cello case and for the instrument. So, first of all, notice that your bag has different handles. These handles are designed to be strong enough and to be kind of convenient. On the back, you have this handle here, and on the side you have a suitcase type of handle. So if you ever want to lift it up onto something, this is a great handle for that. And sometimes I grab 2 handles to be able to move it from place to place. This is great for walking. And some of the backs of the cases have straps. This one does not right now, but if it had straps, it could actually be worn like a backpack. Now the straps are always on the back side of the cello, the flat side, because you could bump this and the cello would be safe. But the front of the cello is what you've always got to be aware of. The front of the cello is on this side, and in here is the bridge. And the bridge, if it gets bumped, it can fall over, the strings can break, the bridge can break, it can be all kinds of problems. So we are always very careful with the cello never to touch the front side. We can touch the sides, and we can touch the back, but we protect the front side. So, you know, I would never leave your cello in a place where it's just liable to get stepped on. You know, if you laid it on the floor and then left the room, and your little sister came running through the room, she might step on this and break the bridge or the whole cello. And your Uncle Henry might not know that the bridge is right there. And so it's just best to keep the cello in a very safe place. Now, if I'm not using my cello, I like to put it in a corner, and I make sure that the bridge is facing the corner. So, I will show you doing that right now. So here I am about to store my cello in a corner. This is the side that the bridge is on, inside the bag. So I'm going to turn it towards the corner and lean it at the top. Let the top lean in. Now that is very safe. It's not going to fall anywhere. If it got bumped, it wouldn't be so bad right there, because that's the flat side, and that's a quite safe place. At my house, I store it by in the corner between the piano and the wall. Okay. Now it is never okay to store your cello against a wall and leave it leaning like that, because sometimes even all by itself it just starts slipping and it falls to the side. So you never lean a cello against the wall, but against a corner is okay. Also, you never lean the cello against a wall or even against the corner with the bridge out, because the way it's balanced, it wants to spin around and go backwards. Plus, the bridge wouldn't be safe if it was facing out. So that's the way it goes. Now let's pretend the case wasn't on. So this is something to talk to your parents about. Sometimes people, every time after they practice, they put it away in the case carefully. And I'll teach you how to put it away. But at my house, it's very safe to be stored next to the piano like this. So, the bridge is not touching the wall. It's stable. It's not going to get knocked anywhere. And in our house, there's no balls getting thrown around. There's no little tiny children running around. No toddler that would pull it over. So if you have a 2-year-old in your house or a 3-year-old, maybe you wouldn't want this stored like this. But talk to your parents about it. What's nice is if you don't have to put the bag on every time, you can actually pull it out quite quickly and sit down for a moment and practice for 2 minutes before dinner time. And then carefully lean it against the corner again. And then that means you'll practice maybe more often for shorter periods of time if you don't have to get it out of its bag every time. Okay? Now, let's go back into the music room. So how do you get a cello out of the bag? Let me show you. It's a lot harder than with a violin or a viola. And so cello players have to really get good at working with this giant bag and this giant instrument without anything falling over. It takes a lot of talent and concentration. So number one is I lay it on its back, okay, not on the bridge. I lay it on the back, and now I'm going to unzip it. And some zippers have 2 zippers, one for here and then one for the rest of the way. This has 1 zipper that goes all the way. Now that it's unzipped, I'm going to fold the bottom out a little bit where I can see the cello. And then I'm going to pick the whole thing up by the neck. You see where I'm grabbing the neck here? That's the neck. So I'm standing it up, and now I'm going to pull well, first I have to get this off the bottom, don't I? Mine has a hole in the bottom for the peg. Now, I'm going to pull the top off. And set it aside. Now the whole time I'm holding this up while I take it off. And then it's ready to get ready to play. Now, to put the bag back on when you're done playing is hard also. But you start by opening the door on the side and then put the top over the top. And I'm still holding the neck in there. Alright? Now, I'm going to start zipping, but I'm still supporting the top, aren't I? Okay? I'm going to zip as far down as I can. And now I'm going to lay it on its side. And I'm still keeping it from falling over. I don't want it to fall onto the bridge. And the bottom, I've got to get my peg through that hole and finish zipping. Okay? Now, you'll want to practice that several times, and there's several things to be careful of while you do it. One thing to be careful of is that the cello never falls. So while I'm opening it up, notice I'm holding my hand on the side. I always keep one hand on the cello. Now I'm going to get the peg out of the hole. For this bag, I needed to get the peg out of the hole. Open it up and stand it up. Now I can take the cap off. Okay? So I'm always holding on to the viola with one hand or the other. Another thing to be careful of is when you're moving the bag around, you don't bump. the bridge. This bridge is not glued on there, and it's just balancing with the tension of the strings holding it in place. So you don't want to ever bump this. Another thing you never want to bump is the tuning pegs, because if those come untuned, the strings can come unraveled, your bridge can fall down. People who make these become unraveled, sometimes they try to fix them and they end up breaking strings. So you just don't want to be messing with the tuning pegs. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to point out is something that is quite dangerous. And that is the peg at the bottom. This is telescoping, which means it can slip inside and outside. And you'll be able to adjust it in the next video to see what size you want your peg to be. But mine has a protective rubber cover on it. But without that protective rubber cover, it's actually just a steel rod. And some are rather pointy. And I had a student once who slipped with his cello and jammed this into his leg. It really, really hurt. So he was brave about it, and I took him to the nurse, and he was okay the next day. But he was in a lot of pain when he got stabbed by this. The other thing is, that's even more common, is these things can really scratch up your floor. So you want to make sure that your floor is carpeted, or that you have a rubber cap. And if you don't have a rubber cap on yours, email me and I will get you one. But there's also a cool thing that's probably in your bag. This one is in the small pocket in the front. I call it a donut. Whenever I look at it, it makes me hungry. I want a donut. This is something you can set on the floor, and I don't know if you can see it. Maybe not. I'll bring the computer down so you can see it. So that sets on the floor, and then my cello can stand right on that. So it's not going to hurt your floor. So your floor, you may not need that, or you may want that. Okay? Now to make this longer and shorter, you twist that. When we always put it clear in when we put it away. Okay? So part of putting away your cello each time is going to be, you're finished practicing or playing, you slide this in and you twist so it won't slide out. Then it's time to put the bag back in. I put the top on first. I hold the top with my one hand while I zip with the other. Then I put it on its side. Zipping. And there you go. You're taking care